everybody, it's Matt. I hope you guys are having a good day today. I hope you're not letting this messed up world just eat your brain, and just eat your mind and, eat your soul, because sometimes you feel defeated. You'll look at people and you'll see that defeated look, that I give up, the quest is over, there's nowhere left to go. And sometimes I sit around and I ask myself that. I'll ask myself, what's next? What's next in store for me? And I always get really anxious about it too. I never know what's going to be next, even though I always want to know. It's the not knowing. It's that mystery, the unknown that is making me afraid. And that is basically just about anything. If I'm about to go skydiving for the first time, I'm going to be a little bit afraid because I've never done that before. It's something new. It's outside of my comfort zone. But if I went skydiving 20 times, 100 times, I'm not going to be scared at all. In fact, I'm not going to be a professional. No. But I'm going to know what I'm doing. And that goes for basically everything inside of life. Okay, if you're horrible at something, take somebody who was a professional at something, like Tom Brady, amazing football player, but look at how long he has been playing for in the professional leagues and how much training he does. Per se, he's not a special person. He made himself special. He went out there, he put in the time, and he put in the work. And life is fair enough to reward that, But then you look around. You see the people who are homeless. You see the people getting eaten alive by animals out in the woods, and life doesn't seem so fair anymore. It doesn't seem like everything is figured out. Like one day it'll all be okay again. But I'm not sure if it ever will be. Because it seems like everything around me is just falling apart. Everything that I'm trying to save or do, or as soon as you fix one problem, another one appears. You know what they say? One thing leads to another. And that could not be more true. Your entire life, you're always going to be fighting uphill. Whether you're following the sheep or creating your own path. Okay, it's always going to be hard. It's always going to be hard. Even if you found the yellow brick road and you think you're going down the right path, it could still all be fake. It could be painted gold. Because you don't know what's going to happen. Okay, you might think you know. You may have predicted the future about, oh, I knew that was going to happen. But the thing is, you're self-reinforcing the negative. Okay, because in the back of your mind, you're going to fail eventually. Eventually, oh, this can't work out for me. There's no way I could rise and be like them. There's no way that everything could be different for me. So you try to make things change. You try to get out there and do what you can with what you have, because that's all any of us can do anyway. But then you get caught up. You're worried about your own grass, your own problems, and your family members are sick. People are leaving you. The world doesn't seem to be working out as you expected. That fantasy, that goal, that dream that you expected, that when you grow up, that this was an all for nothing. All that trauma that you faced, all that pain, it all had to have been for something. But after you blink your eye a couple times and 10 years goes by, you realize that, dang, this is it. It's normal. It wasn't meant to work out some fantasy way. Here I am working my job every day and waiting for the next day to come, hoping that something will change. But nothing ever changes because I'm the one that has to change. And I realize that. I have to get out there and use my car. If the fact that I even have a car is fantastic. People don't even have cars or any way. People have to take the bus, bikes, and I have a car. But it's hard to be grateful until it breaks down or it has a problem, and you're like, oh fuck, of course. But you don't realize what you have until it's actually gone. I mean, same thing with people. You know, you'll walk by your family members, your mom, and you don't realize that they're also getting older. You know, and it's not just you that's aging and changing. They are also aging and changing. It's weird to think about that these people, the people that you're trying to help, you have only been in their lives for a part of it. You know, and some people you have known their entire lives, your mother, your father, if you were lucky enough to have either one of those, your grandparents, they know you. They know everything about you. You know, they've been there since the moment they were holding you. But how old were they when they first seen you? You know, how much of their lives have they actually lived without you? And now here you are. Here we are, together, on this weird ass planet that has some water, some rocks, and horrible fucking people. I mean, terrible people are out there. I've seen things. Sure, you have. You know, the internet holds a lot of things. The world holds a lot of things. But sometimes you get that seed. You know, you'll see something or you'll do something, and then eventually it'll sprout inside of you, and you'll wake up one day and just realize it. You know, one day you'll just be like, hey, yes, this actually happened for me. And maybe you knew it was coming. Maybe you didn't. You know, maybe this is all a surprise. Maybe your dreams are not the way you expected them to be. Maybe you get there and you look at the view and you're like, damn, this really isn't even that good. And you wasted all that time. Not wasted all that time, because things you like are never a waste. Love is never a waste. Loving things are never a waste of your time. Ever. Ever. Okay, but that's where I cycle back, and you have to realize that you're only here once. You know, everything you do, you have to kind of appreciate it. You know, even though you can't in the moment, because when it becomes a memory, then you start to appreciate it. Oh, how could I have not done that, then this, then this? You're not, it's okay. You know, that happens to everybody. But I'm nowhere near perfect myself. Okay? But why should I need to be perfect? Why should everything about me need to be perfect to fit everyone else's expectation? You know, because who knows what perfect really is? What is having your shit together? What is having everything together? What even is that? It's weird if I was able to sit back in my life, sit back on a chair similar to this and have no worries. You know, as in my person, my character, I take myself out of there for a moment and I find peace, that I don't have any problems anymore. I don't have to worry about what's next for a little bit. You know, because I realize that if I'm living in the past, if I'm thinking about my past, I'm sad. But you know, if I'm thinking about what's going to happen, what's eventually to come, I get anxious, I get scared, I get afraid. I'm not sure if I even want to be here. You know, and sometimes it's scary to think about. You know, because everyone knows that inevitable doom. You know, it doesn't matter what you do. You can go out there and be the nicest goddamn person on the planet. You can do everything for everybody. Put your all. Give it your all. Truly go all out in your life. And unfortunately, you will end up in the same spot as the dickhead who was an asshole to completely everybody his entire life. Didn't do anything illegal, didn't do anything to harm anybody, but he was mean, disrespectful. And it turns out that we're all in the same spot anyway. You know, that there is no place. That the place that we are trying to reach doesn't actually exist. In fact, it is inside of us. Everything that we could possibly want is already within us. And yeah, it's hard to think about. Oh, my happiness, my goals, my dreams, the money, that's inside of me? Weirdly enough, yes. You have the ability to bring that all out. You just don't choose to do it. I don't choose to do it. Maybe I'm afraid of what I'm capable of. Afraid of the potential. So I just sit back and act like I don't care. Like, I'll try my best, but if things start slightly not going my way, it's not meant for me. Maybe fate just didn't have it out for me. But the thing is, I'm not too sure about those things. You know, I kind of just like to, if it feels right, that gut feeling inside you. Go off of what is real. You don't know what's real around you. The only way to know is if you touch it. Because you don't know all this stuff. It's just sitting there. It hasn't been moved the entire video, just been sitting there. But here I am touching it, moving it around. It's odd. You probably never even thought I would do that. The power of free will, if that even exists. Because I've heard a thing that everything that you do is already predetermined. It was already predetermined that I was going to touch that. It was just a matter of when. Everything is just a matter of when. Everything that you do, just all a matter of when. When will this happen? When will you do that? When will that take course? Will it even take course in the first place? If it didn't happen, you didn't want it bad enough. Maybe that's the truth. But sometimes it's inevitable. Sometimes defeat happens. In every single story, the hero, the character, that main person, they become alone. There's a moment where they have to go out there and try to find themselves. You have to try to find who you are. That's the hardest and most difficult part of this life. Trying to figure out who you are by yourself without anybody around you. Going out there and being able to do things by yourself. And that hurts. Sometimes it's really hard to be able to get out there and do it. It's hard. It really is. Very difficult. It is. And you can't get out there, and you have to get out there and do it. As hard as it is, you have to stand up and do it. The door's open, you just have to walk through it. But it's so hard whenever you walk out that door and see the terror, the trauma, the pain, the suffering that's out there. And maybe it's even inside your own household. Sometimes you can't even catch a break. The constant screaming, the fighting, the battling doesn't stop. Your mind can never catch a break. And sometimes you just don't know how. You never know if you will. You never know if you will truly find out why. I guess we just have to wait and find out. When everybody that loves you is gone, there's nothing left to do but live. Live on. Move on. Keep it pushing. Hope that there's something out there that's better for you. And eventually you'll create it. Because after a while you'll look at the pictures of the past and you'll no longer look at the person next to you. You'll look at yourself. And you'll no longer wish for that person back, but no. You'll wish for yourself back. Those smiles that you had, those laughs that you can never recreate, those good times that you feel are impossible to get back. They were there at one point. All of it was. The happiness, the colorfulness, the rainbow shade glasses, they were all on and everything felt great. Until one day it didn't. One day that seed sprouted and everything has been different since. Since that time, the moment, the one chance where you could have made everything right, but you didn't. Let it slide past you. But don't worry about it now. You have time now. You're here right now, and maybe that says something. Depending on where you are, it doesn't matter where you are. You got this. You can get through whatever you're going through. Talk to somebody. It helps. It does. But sometimes you have to get through things alone too. You can't ask every single person, what's next? What do I do? What's now? Sometimes you have to ask yourself that question. You have to ask it 100 times, 200 times, 1,000 times until you get it right. But one day you will. And I promise that if you keep with it, because it was never about being special. It was never about having the winning ticket or having the number. It was always about you. The fact that if you could do it, if you wanted to do it, the life that you wanted to live, it was all about that. It was all about you. And you didn't realize it until it was too late. Until you were in that place. The same place as everyone else. showing off your talent and then fading away. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just want to thank everybody for the recent support on the channel. And I want you guys to go down in the comment section and comment some ideas for me to talk about in these Just Talking videos. Okay, guys? That's what I'm going to need from you guys. And when I accumulate enough questions, ideas, I'll make a single video about it. Just a question, like not a question, but like I'll talk about the topics in which you guys wanted me to speak about, in that kind of way. But I want you guys to go out there, enjoy your day, not enjoy the video, but enjoy the day, and stay positive as well. I love you guys. Peace.